The following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed on the program are solely that of Klodowski Real Estate, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Welcome in, everybody, to Taking Care of Business. Justin the Ninja Wilski with you here today. One familiar face on the show, Chris Klodowski, and then one lesser familiar face. You don't always see him in on the show, but we got Adam Klodowski here as well. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is a beautiful spring morning in Wisconsin, and as is always with spring, we started off super cold and rainy and wet.
Yeah.
And now it's looking nicer out there. It's getting sunnier. I heard we might hit 60-something today, maybe?
Yes, this morning when I came out, the rain was frozen on my windshield, and when I just came out of the office now to come here, I was like, oh, it feels like there's a touch of warmth in the air.
The sun just nicely there for us.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like, oh, maybe Wisconsin springs aren't so bad. Well, see, I heard rumors of snow next week already, so... But we won't talk about that.
Okay.
We won't talk about that. We're here to talk about something completely different. But before we do, I want to remind people, of course, that they can call in and interact with the show. If they have questions, concerns, I should say concerns, what are you concerned about? But if you have questions when it comes to real estate, be it buying, selling, maybe you're not thinking now, maybe you're thinking later. Maybe you want to stump them. See, maybe there's a question you think that they've never heard before. Chances are slim. You can give us a call, 920-887-9595. I might have one for you, actually. And or you can call our set at 920-885-4446. And we do have Jeff Hall up in the studio. He's standing by to take your calls, take your texts. We love you, Jeff. And,
we love you, Jeff.
He'll be more than happy to send those down our way. Remind everybody, of course, who Klodowski is and who you guys are before we start diving into things.
Klodowski Real Estate, located here in Beaver Dam, serving most of Dodge County, a little bit into Columbia County, a little bit into Fond du Lac County. We all have, I grew up in the big cities, but have lived and we work here in the Beaver Dam area.
Born and raised here, yeah.
Yeah. We're located at N8053 State Road 33 on the north side of town at the intersection of County Road B and 33. Office phone is 920-219-9212. We have a Facebook page. We have Adam's more the...
Right, and the Facebook page is back now.
Back.
Good, okay.
No, the Facebook page is new.
Okay, new, yes.
Yes, we were unable to... I don't know if you've unfollowed our old page. They post... construction, yes, primitive construction and mechanical things on the page now. So it's been nothing bad that I've seen so far.
Which we're very grateful
which is good
for.
news, but yes, unable to get that back. We are currently not on Instagram because we don't have access to that either. Haven't made a new one yet.
But we can now find you again on Facebook.
Yes, it is. Our Facebook page, if you look it up, I'm sure both Klodowski Real Estate pages will pull up, but it is the one that has the actual colors of our logo, the black background with the gold K.
There you go.
The folks that hacked the other page changed it to a white background with the gold K.
You're going to know as soon as you scroll down.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And, of course, worst case scenario, they can also just go right to your guys' website.
Yep,
KlodowskiRealEstate.com. There you go. So highly recommend that. And now, Chris, we know you because you're kind of the current face when you're on the show. Adam, you obviously are not just part of the business, but related to Chris.
Correct. We are just a family business. Abby and I, twins, and Christine, our mother. That's just three of us make up Klodowski Real Estate.
And interesting enough, Abby got the voice, you got the looks. That's how it worked.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had a feeling. And obviously, family business, which is great. Local business, which is even better. And I love the fact that when we talk to you guys, we say you guys are real estate advocates, advisors. You're not real estate salespeople, which means so much because it means you guys go so much further than just that thought and concept of we want to help you sell your home.
I help in any way. Like I'm meeting with some folks. What's today? Wednesday. Friday evening. They are looking at 5 years from now selling their house, and they want to know a few things like, is it worth it to invest in this at this point in time when we get that out in 5 years?
Right.
Yeah, the buying, selling questions, we are great to be your real estate advisors.
And that's a really smart thing to do, right? Because if you're thinking we might want to sell at some point in time, but we don't know if the kitchen needs to be updated or a bathroom needs to be updated or if we need to think about replacing the roof or how does our landscaping look, rather stretch those projects out over a 3, 4, 5 year time frame than trying to fit them all in right before you're about to sell.
1 month before you're going to list your house, yeah.
Because that's a pretty big bill to be paying to get all that stuff fixed right then.
Or if you're looking at doing an $80,000 kitchen remodel, and your current kitchen is okay.
Right.
Well, likely not going to get that $80,000 return out
Right.
from investing that because there's
Right.
already a value to the kitchen you have. But obviously, up to each homeowner and what I mean, if they might live there for another 50 years, yeah, go ahead. But if they're specifically looking like, what can we do between the next 5 years to sell? Probably not in their best interest to do a full kitchen remodel dollar-wise.
Now, last time you were on, we spent a lot of time talking about some mistakes that people who are looking to sell make, some common mistakes. Today, we're going to dive a little bit into some of the buyer mistakes. But before we do, let's talk, as we always do at the start of the show, a little bit about what the market looks like, what listings are out there, kind of what people should expect if they're looking to either get into the market or they're looking to buy something on the market now.
Things seem to be, people always say the spring market, things seem to be going pretty good. There's been a fair amount of listings every week for, it seems like Friday's the common theme, but it seems like there's been a fair amount of listings every week. So there's a good pool of homes in the, to purchase. I guess this week we have a couple coming up. One 313 South Depot Street in Fox Lake. That is a 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,088 square feet, 2-story. That's listed at $200,000. Another one that just came on the market yesterday, I believe, 407 Albies. That's a ranch located up by Prairie View. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. That one's listed for $350,000. One coming next week on Greenfield Ave, a block off of the lake. It's off of Oneida Street. It's a dead-end street. That one, 3-bed, 2.5-bath, 2,000 plus square feet, and that one's going to be coming on at $330,000.
Brick house at that.
Yep. I do like a good brick house.
Yeah.
We do have a new construction, one we listed like a week or two ago, that's currently being built in Randolph. 106 West Main Street in Beaver Dam. That is a 2-story, it's 4-bed, 1-bath, 1,351 square feet. We're currently at $225,000 on that one.
And doing a price reduction this week.
Okay. So something for people to keep eyes on.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good number of homes. And I kind of remember people always saying, like, well, everybody tries to sell in the spring. Nobody wants to do it in the winter because moving in the winter is a pain, all that stuff. But as soon as that spring thaw hits, everybody's thinking, I want to refresh.
Really, it's around mid-April, I feel like the spring market kind of cracks open. Statistically, I'm going to say winter sales only drop off like 19%. And those are the people that have the luxury, I guess, of saying, well, we don't want to move in the winter, but we're looking to upgrade or downsize or get to single-floor living. They can be choosier as to when they're shopping. But life still happens. I mean, people pass away and estates are still selling houses, or there's a divorce, or
Job relocation. Yeah.
someone's just ready to buy a house at that point, and they want to avoid some of that competition and get in there right away.
I feel like for me, it would always be a matter of like, well, over the holidays, did the house feel like it fit everybody? The house was too small, it was too cramped, it's time to go bigger.
Right.
Or, oh, everybody's moved away, everybody's doing their own things, it feels too big and empty, time to go smaller.
Yeah. And I'm an entertainer, like having guests for dinner and stuff. So yes, big important thing to me. But if it's someone like, I prefer to not have people come into my house, they might want that cozy little
Get a
space.
small house.
There you go.
Yeah.
Entertaining for the holidays and entertaining on the stage at Dodge County Fair, right? You're going to get up there and
Yeah,
sing
right.
Sports, right? Well, I'm sure we'll see you guys out there for a show, though, of course.
I'd be living my best life doing that, but everybody else be pained by the music.
Worth it. Totally worth it. I did have a great conversation earlier this week, and I said I'd probably have a question you haven't heard yet before. Had a great conversation with our own Wade Bates this week about the Artemis II and everything that's going on with the moon and how we're thinking about possibly a moon base up there. And now we're going, all right, what are the chances Klodowskis are going to get a moon office and start selling the acreage up there?
Definitely not me.
No?
No, thank you. But maybe, maybe by then it would be the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren that would have Klodowski real estate. But they may be... They might be down for that, yeah.
Now, you guys have done some drone fly-throughs of some of the houses. I've seen some of those.
Lots, yep.
Maybe space drones. You just put a face with a screen on it, and you can be there virtually.
Or like Wade took us to Italy.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah.
That was nice. And you guys came back with some great color, by the way. I want you to know.
Made some good
pasta.
some good stuff on.
Yeah.
Wade did a good job with that. Yeah.
Wade is he's a creative individual, but he wants to be.
That is a great way to put it.
But it does lend to the question of, real estate can look very, very different. I mean, we can talk lakeside, we can talk downtown, we can talk, button up against industrial. It could be commercial real estate. You guys kind of handle a lot of it. is there anything you guys have seen that you weren't expecting when it comes to real estate? Like you're like, oh, I didn't even know we could sell a section of river or whatever.
Yes, I mean, you learn as you go through your whole career. I met with someone a few months ago about a property, but he was also talking about other property. I'm going to use my fingers for air quotes here, that they have that they get taxed on, but it is riverbed. It is the lake.
Right.
They don't have access to it.
Okay.
It is just deeded property that if they, drain the lake down, there would be some land there. So I actually followed up with a couple of people to say, hey, like, what can they do about this? And the answer was, tell them to quit paying the property taxes and let the county take it back. that was the
Right.
easiest way to do that.
I've always been fascinated by, and that makes me think of, I've looked at city maps where they show the property lines, and you look at the shape of some properties and how everything, like you could have 4 properties that are all nice together in a square, but then there's a property in between that's owned by like another house somewhere else.
Yeah.
And how does, and you guys somehow have to know these things and work with these things and understand, because obviously if I'm working with you guys as a potential buyer, you guys are going to say, well, yeah, the property kind of goes from here to here, whatever. You guys have to know how to see that information, read that information a little bit.
Right. It just as when we take a listing, we do some pretty in-depth researches to history of the property lines, permits, things of that nature. As a buyer's agent, you need to do a little bit of homework on that also to see, yes, where the property lines are. And if you pull up a property, the overview like on the county map, and their overlay isn't always accurate.
Right.
However, if there's something significantly into the parcel that you're looking at,
Right.
probably, yeah, encroaching. There's probably an issue there. So you want to include that in your offer somewhere, because the buyer more than likely is not going to want to address that at their expense after closing.
Right.
To get that addressed ahead of time.
I remember when we were home shopping, we had found a house in Juneau that we were kind of interested in, and I was super excited because it had this really large attached garage with almost like a built-in workshop already on it. And for me, I was like, that's heaven. And then the realtor told us, by the way, they have some sort of easement agreement with the shop next door, which is an actual commercial space, but their garage extends about 2 feet onto their property. And once the house sells, that goes away. And the current owner of the shop does not want to keep that going. So you would have to modify your garage. And I was like, nope, we're out.
Yeah, no.
But there can be weird circumstances like that where it's like, oh, well, yeah, I agreed to let the neighbor put the fence right on the line or a little bit on our side or whatever.
It's between people that have lived next to each other for literal decades, like
Right.
true good neighbors. They don't have an issue with that.
Right.
But like I have one right now, there's a shared well with the property next door, and a family member owns that property. So the shared well has been no big deal all of these decades, but one of them is selling now. Well, who knows what that buyer is going to be like, or if the other property sells. Like, those things need to be recorded somewhere to make sure all parties are protected.
I was going to I suggest if you're going to, we see shared wells a lot.
Right.
Out by Fish Camp on that Sunset, there's a lot of shared wells out there, shared driveways, and a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, sometimes you'll see it, they're just in a handshake agreement.
Right.
Well, that's all good and well if you like your new neighbor or if things went well.
Right.
There's shared driveway agreements, there's shared well agreements, there's easements. Just get it legally recorded. That's
Right.
going to be best for all parties involved.
Because otherwise, it's like whoever's property the well's on kind of has the ownership then at that point, right? Generally?
Yes, if there's nothing recorded, and say you bought the house that shares the well with the neighbor, and the neighbor has the well on their property, if there's nothing recorded, and the neighbor just shuts off your access to the water, you really don't have much of a
There's
leg to stand on.
no recourse
We're not
there.
attorneys. We
Right.
consult your attorney, but
Right.
yeah.
And I'm sure Klodowski has a list of attorneys you could speak with if you really need some people to talk to.
There's some good local attorneys, absolutely.
So not going to be selling on the moon, and you've definitely seen some odd stuff. Let's dive into a little bit some of these common home buyer mistakes, because I was reading through this list, and there were some that I thought, okay, I almost fell subject to that one when I was looking, and a few of these other ones. So let's dive into a few of these. the first one I think is really, really important. You've got shopping before you're pre-approved. Right now, especially like ticket prices, sticker prices, I should say, on homes can be kind of a real eye opener because two homes in two vastly different areas that are very similar in size, bedroom count, bathroom count, maybe even age, could be vastly different in price even.
Correct. And just getting pre-approved is one, if you're not pre-approved and you want to tour the house. If it's vacant, yeah, we'll do at least one, to meet with you and
Right.
things like that. But if you're asking a family to pack up potentially their pets, their kids, and all that for you to come through for a showing when you're not yet a qualified buyer
Right.
is kind of a waste of time on everyone's part.
I mean, that's kind of what open houses are for, right? If you
Yes.
just want to be a looky-loo.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
And we are happy to meet with a buyer to do a buyer consultation. They're always done at no charge. And you don't need to be pre-approved for that. We go through the whole buyer process. But before you start looking at houses, being pre-approved is almost a necessity. And for the buyer, the important thing being like you walk into a house and it is everything you have dreamt of. You can write an offer, but a seller's not going to entertain your offer without a pre-approval
Right.
letter. And that would just be heartbreaking.
But yeah.
But also knowing your budget. I mean,
We have a lot of great local lenders, and they will review all of it with you. And I
Right.
guess in the past, I've seen maybe people that don't have the perfect credit or they need to get rid of some debt. A lot of these lenders will help them get a plan put together to get their score up or get rid of some debt. So okay, we can be in this price range, or
Right.
we can get you in the ballpark what you want. So there's that, and it's good to know. I mean, unless you're really in depth with your finances, you might, okay, what can I afford, and what do I want to afford, kind of
Right.
thing.
two very different questions. Yes.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's got to be one of the, when you're having that buyer's consultation, one of the questions you ask is, do you have a pre-approval? And, what kind of pre-approval? Because there, certain types of loans, like FHA loans, you can't get stuff that's like in need of major construction work or something like that.
So
and
they
there's,
do have FHA rehab loans.
Okay.
I actually just had a lender tell me yesterday that something has changed regarding that. I haven't seen anything
Okay.
official anywhere else about that yet. But yes, like FHA, VA, chipping paint is a big thing. But if a buyer wants to go look at a house and you look at the photos and part of the ceiling has fallen, the plaster has fallen, knob and tube, or like there's a big staircase going up to the front door and there are no railings on it, we can still look at it, but you have to know that the way things have been is that the appraiser is going to say, okay, you need railings on this. This needs to be repaired. You need to have GFCI outlets within a 6 feet
right,
range of the.
CO2 and smoke detectors on every level of the home.
right.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, if you're, say it's chipping paint, we have gone with buyers before and painted more than one house to get that chipping paint thing
Right.
taken care of. But yeah, very, very important. And
But I don't see you guys in there ripping out knob and tube and putting new wiring in.
correct.
We stay within our range, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
good call. And that kind of leads into the next thing when we talk about, mistakes that people make, because it's very easy to point out things like a little bit of chipping paint or the little cosmetic things here or there. But it's also really easy to fall in love with kind of that putting lipstick on a pig thing where you go, oh, this is just gorgeous. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
And it could just be a fresh coat of paint.
I was that buyer when I bought my first house. Like, the market was not what it is now, and I'd go look at some houses during the week, and then whatever I liked, my dad would come over on Saturday when he was off of work, and he'd look at it with me, and he'd be like, oh, look at that electrical. Look at this foundation wall. And I just thought he was the biggest buzzkill.
Right.
Which I'm sure we have to point out adverse facts when we're showing a property. So I'm sure sometimes people may feel a little like that.
Right.
But yeah, to make you aware, if the foundation wall, has a 6-inch inflection, noteworthy.
Right.
Because if that is just a flat out deal breaker for you, and there are repairs for that, I mean, if that's just a flat out deal breaker for you, you don't want to go through the cost of having a home inspection done and paying for an appraisal to decide you don't want to purchase the property and be out that money.
Right.
And if they say, great, let's proceed and get this figured out, we're in.
And I think another thing is like for us, we're in hundreds of houses a
Right.
year. We see many houses a week. So I guess the way I feel, and I don't know, I'm sure you, Christine, I don't the paint, the carpet. A lot of times, I mean, sometimes it's hard to look past, especially if you're only looking at. We've only looked at 3 homes to purchase.
Right.
We're in hundreds of them, so we're looking for, like you said, the big stuff. Okay, is the foundation look okay? Is there chipping and peeling paint? Are the windows, are the windows fogged up? Maybe the gas panes are bad. There's a list of things that we look at, and it's part of our job is to look at those things while we're going
To
through
do
a
a
house with
visual inspection.
whether selling or a listing or a purchase. That's part of our job is to look at stuff like that.
Right. It's got to be both form and function when they're in the house.
Yeah.
I know we have in our house, and my wife loves it, this beautiful like stained glass light fixture in the dining room. She thinks it's great. I don't think it gives enough light to the space. I hate it for that purpose. But that's one of those things where you could walk in and go, oh, I love the lighting in here. It's great. Except it doesn't really do much for you at night. It looks great during the day.
Yeah.
But horrible at night. Or, you might love the look of a room, but there's not enough natural light for you when it's all said and done.
That was a big one for me. I wanted a southern exposure house,
Right.
so I got all that sunshine.
Want all the sunshine, and then it heats up your house with the greenhouse effect, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Happily take it.
But then also, structure is a really important thing. We've talked about this a little bit before, too, because you don't want to be walking into the kitchen, set a cup down, it slides off the counter.
Right.
There's got to be a good build to everything. It's got to be solid because it is an investment. These are investment properties, right? An
Yeah.
investment in your future, in your home.
A lot of the times, the biggest purchase you'll ever make. Well,
Yeah.
I should say most of the time. I shouldn't say a lot of time. Most of the time, it's the biggest purchase that somebody will ever make is purchasing a home.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you only purchase it once, maybe. So the next one I want to talk about, and this kind of ties into all that stuff as well, and this is a big one. We've talked about this before a lot in the past. People, for a while, the housing market was so tight, people were just waiving inspections.
There's still some of that.
That's kind of like playing a potentially losing lottery, isn't it?
Every now and then you will go through a property that you wouldn't cringe if your buyer didn't write an inspection. Say a newer build, or you generally can tell when someone has put a lot of, when they have the sticker on the furnace that shows they have had their air conditioner
Right.
and furnace serviced every year. You can kind of get a feel for the care that's been given to a property.
The term "well maintained" comes to mind, I guess. Yeah, I would very much agree with that. There's also things like people are using for like inspection buffers. So I guess for an example, somebody could write an offer, write in a home inspection, but if the sum of defects found during the inspection is below X amount of, say, $2,000, we'll just use
Right.
that for a random number. We're not going to make a stink of it. Because a common thing we see GFCI is within
Right.
6 feet of a water receptacle, in the garage. Maybe if it's government financing, missing hand railing, stuff like that. That stuff might not add up to $2,000.
Right.
So then, okay, maybe if the foundation or the roof's bad, they're going to flag it. Okay, we have an opportunity to get out of this. Not have to purchase this home.
Right.
We still see they're definitely a lot more than they were 4 years ago.
Right.
But we're still seeing some houses not, get purchased with no inspections on both the listing and buying side.
Right. And I know even with, and we talked a little bit about new construction, even with new construction, I've seen, and obviously these get amplified, but on social media, I've watched videos where it's a new home inspector. They go through and they go, oh, well, here they didn't tie the joist to the upper wall. That's a fail. They got to come back and fix this. Or, oh, they didn't mud this, properly all the way down. Or, they didn't seal this part of the foundation. Things like that can happen even with new construction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We even encourage new construction to, and excuse me, all the buyers I have worked with that have purchased new construction, they have recouped the cost of their home inspection in nothing major, but in the repairs that were needed found in the inspection before
Right.
moving in. Yes.
And you have really cleverly put a phrase in here that I love. Inspections are not about finding perfection. They're about understanding the home.
Yes, it's not. Some people are like, well, that's not going to pass inspection. Well, it's not a pass-fail when you have a home inspection. It's not like when the building inspector comes out to evaluate a new construction
Right.
item. It is the inspector is going to point out defects to the property. They're going to point out items to maybe have further evaluated.
Right.
They're going to point out things to monitor over time. like say you have a house that has shrubbery rubbing against the siding. That's going to be in your inspection report to tell you to clean that out.
Right.
Same thing if your basement wall is bowing.
Right.
They're going to make mention of that. And again, most things are able to be overcome. Like what they do is they make steel I-beams, put them on the wall
Right.
to make sure. And then there's the companies that also put the plates on that can try and bring that wall back into plumb over the course of time. But it's if the buyer and seller are agreeable and comfortable with that.
Right. And there's a lot of information that comes on inspection too, because it'll also tell you things like how old the water heater is, how old the
I was gonna
furnace
say,
is, like
informational. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
so that way, kind
Absolutely.
of, the roof looks like it has maybe 10 more years on it based
Right.
on current. Yeah. So that's all really good information to have that. For the average person, average Joe,
Right.
they're not going to know. I could look at my furnace for 20 minutes and still be lost at where the sticker is that tells me how old it is. It's proven by my latest furnace replacement.
I would love, and I'll just throw this out to all of the HVAC plumbers, if they would just take a Sharpie and just write on all the things.
Right.
That would be glorious.
a
Because
brilliant
as
idea.
homeowners, okay, we just put that furnace in a couple of years ago. Well, if they actually look up the years, oh, that's 10. Well, it seemed,
Right.
people aren't being dishonest. It just seems like you just did
Yesterday.
that. Yeah.
Right. I know my dad, he is a real stickler for, he does it with his cars, does it with the house. The filter change is a big one for him.
Sure.
And he takes the old filter, when he pulls it out, rips off a part of it, staples it to a beam in the basement, and writes the date that he put the new one in.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And it looks like little flags down and I'm like, if that's the way you want to do it, Dad, but it works for him.
I write the date on my furnace filter when I change it, before I put it in with Sharpie. Because there's been times a couple of years ago, a furnace AC was not doing its job. Called my HVAC guy. He said, take the furnace filter out. It was pretty dirty. Ran just fine. Stopped by him, picked up a new one. And
There you go.
Good to go.
And sometimes it's that simple.
Right.
And of course, it helps if you got a furnace guy you can call. But again, we're going to touch on not required necessarily. Although I think for some loans it might be kind of required. Is that a thing?
A home inspection, no.
Oh, okay.
With certain financing, government-backed financing, the appraiser that comes in to determine the value of the property that you're purchasing, they also do a mini inspection.
Are they looking for big red flag things when they do it?
They're looking to see items that would make it not qualify for the loan if not addressed. Again, the GFCI outlets,
Right.
chipping paints.
Trip hazards. That's one for FHA that I've seen a couple times.
I had
missing hand railings. There's quite a few. Yeah, CO2 and smoke detectors in every level of the home.
I had one early in my career. We had to go in and insulate between the floor joist in the basement and the sill. So where your foundation wall ends, we had to insulate in between each of those for the FHA financing. I've never seen that since, had never seen that before, but that
Right.
specific appraiser said they were requiring that.
Okay. So, we had Chris Klodowski under the house with some fiberglass insulation and gloves. And
yeah. Yeah, that is exactly what you had. Cutting the
that's your real
pieces
estate
and-
advisor right there, people. I'm telling you. Moving on from that a little bit, let's talk about what I think, in my brain, I thought was kind of the biggest shortfall, and we had to overcome it when we were house hunting. And it's the mindset of, you tell yourself, these are all the things I want for it to be the perfect home. It's going to be that thing where we see it, the lights will shine on it, halo from the heavens, we'll know this is the one, and you're just not satisfied till you find that. And it can be really devastating and really kind of depressing if you're looking for that perfect home and can't locate it.
True.
Unfortunately, unless you're building,
I would say not even if you're building. I mean, you get someone that builds a house, and they have you over to look at it after they're done, and then they'll make the comments like, if I did it again.
yeah,
Right.
There isn't a perfection. It's kind of an 80, 90%.
I was going to say 70, but I feel like
No.
with anything, it's learn as you go. I really like my wife and I's house, but there's some small things. Okay, well, this could have been better, or could I not had that? Unless you're going to build a couple houses in a lifetime,
Right.
it's probably hard to get that dialed in. I would say 70, 78%. Like, find the big things that are important to you and focus on that. It's going to be hard to find maybe once in a blue moon you'll find 100% exactly what you
And
want.
if you have
but-
an unlimited budget, probably more apt to find.
Right. Yeah, that's all of us. Yeah, 100% there.
I have a buyer right now that they would like a small house. They want to downsize, but they want it to have an in-ground pool. Now that's pretty unicorny to me.
Yeah, because that's like a big family thing to have an in-ground
yeah,
pool generally.
yeah. And if you have a small house, not saying it doesn't exist, but the
Right.
likelihood of having an in-ground pool statistically is pretty small.
yeah, might almost be better just to find one with a good sized yard and have one put in.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah. And obviously, when you guys are having that buyer consultation, there is a point in time when you guys talk about like, what are those things you want in a home that would make the home, maybe not the perfect home, but would make it the home you want.
Oh, that's a big part of it. We take down that criteria. I mean, I guess it goes back to kind of showing houses out pre-approved. If you tell me got to be a ranch, well then I mean it's not in our interest to look at 2-story homes.
Right.
But we take down a lot of criteria, and I mean one thing I see a lot is made floor laundry.
Right.
I mean I'd say half people are ranch, 2-story, whatever, 1.5 story. They don't Cape Cod.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But we have a lot of stuff we can narrow down: bedrooms, full bath. These are kind of few and far between, but split bedrooms. So the primary suite and maybe the kids' rooms are on the opposite ends of the
Right.
house, a little quieter.
That is a nice thing, yeah.
But there's basement access from the garage. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, we set up a lot of save searches, so when they come on the market, it'll email somebody. If it falls within your criteria, it'll email you
Right.
what you're looking for. And there's a gazillion things you can put in there. Township. I mean, and that's a thing. I mean, there's
Oh
people
yeah, I
that-
guess I didn't even think about that.
I want to
but-
live in the township of Westford or Calamus. Most people that want to live in outside of the city limits aren't real picky, but sometimes people, okay, I want to live in town of Beaver Dam or the town of Trenton,
Right.
and don't show me any houses that aren't there. I mean, price point, size. I mean, like I said, I feel like it goes beyond the bed, bath, and square footage.
Right.
And there's the wants and then the must-haves. And it can be modified on the fly. Like I'll use myself as an example. When I started shopping for my first house, I had grand visions of a 2-story house, the big farmhouse. Looked at some and I just, I mean, I remember even the realtor's broker coming to a showing and being like, well, what's wrong with this house? And it really wasn't what's wrong with it. It was like I needed to have that little butterfly in my belly for it to be. And the first ranch house I looked at, that I walked into, I was like, oh, yeah.
Like, all right, this is the one.
I had in my head that I wanted a 2-story house, but I don't know if it was having grown up in a ranch or that was what hit me in the feels. Yes.
Right. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, there are things where they'll tell you, and you guys kind of have to remind them of this sometimes, where if they go, well, we've got 3 kids, so we need to have at least 4 bedrooms so they can all have their own space. And then it's oh, we really love this 2-bedroom home.
Yes, it really there. Or we absolutely have to have a 2-car garage, and they want to look at a house with a 1-car and no possibility of adding, which is great. But if they've said we're not buying a house that doesn't have a 2-car garage,
Right.
again, like to have someone leave their home for a showing. All of that, if you're not going to buy a 1-car garage, we don't need to go look at that house.
Right.
If they change their mind and say, we're open to buying a house with a 1-car garage, great, we'll go take a look at it.
And I know when it comes to couples looking at homes, sometimes they can look at the same listing, and like my wife would be looking at it and going, well, where's the laundry room? What does the living room look like? What's the dining room look like? And I'm immediately like, I need to see the kitchen and the garage. I might think, oh, basically the kitchen and the garage, it's perfect. And she's like, no, the laundry room's in the basement, and the bedrooms are too small, and there's not enough closet space.
Right.
So that communication's kind of important to have as well.
Well, give and take for sure.
Yeah, and so that's why it's kind of important for both. If it's a single person or a couple or whatever, or a family, if they've all got ideas of what they want, they need to convey all those ideas to you so
Yeah.
that you can kind of weed out the stuff that's
I
a waste of time to look at.
We have a lot of clients that will just go to open houses. Maybe they're not super dialed into what they want yet. They go to open houses, and I think it's good because you could see, I mean, not just your wants, what you don't want. You see, okay, I don't need that, kind of thing. Or I don't really know what to use for an example for that, but like there's just certain things that have this built, or I have one on the market right now where they have some super cool archways in it. I think it's super awesome.
Right.
Not for everybody.
Right.
A couple people that came to the open house, like, I like the house, the archways that aren't for me.
Right.
Like I said, that's a thing. I think if you go to open houses too, you see, okay, this is great. All right, we'll take this off the list, or we want to stay away from this kind of house, or,
Right.
or something like that. You know, there's certain things.
Open houses are also nice for if you haven't been in the market, you haven't been home shopping for a while, to kind of get a feel for the price points.
Right.
Like what a $400,000 house looks like versus what a $200,000 house looks like.
And it can be tough sometimes to get that information just from pictures, because pictures
Yes.
can only show you so much, and
But
sometimes
there's a lot of
it's the
zooming
best
in
angle.
on pictures sometimes,
Yep.
yes.
And how the layout all flows together. Yeah.
Layout is a big thing. I think people don't like. I love our house. It's kind of like a big racetrack. So no matter where you're at, you don't have to worry about that weird awkward dance in the hallway to get around each other, which is wonderful. And it feels a little more open that way. But some homes, it's a straight line drag race. Some homes you got in out of rooms. It's a zigzag. You're all over the place. And finding something that works for you and flows for you is important. I'm also thinking people need to know what they want from the property itself, like the yard, everything there. I know you're talking about people want, I don't want this. I grew up having to shovel a very massive, long city sidewalk required. And I was like, I don't want a city sidewalk if I can help it.
It's a good mix of I don't want to mow a big lawn, I don't want to shovel.
Or I want a big lawn
Or-
because I have 6 dogs.
Right.
I mean, I have one client that pretty much said, I don't care if we live in the city or outside the city,
Right.
no sidewalks. And thankfully, there's a checkbox in MLS I can check that says no sidewalks.
I'll say we found one.
That I can uncheck for sidewalks.
Right.
So the only listings they get, they don't have sidewalks.
Which, if the listing agent put it in properly, they won't.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know the Klodowskis are putting it in properly. They know what they're doing. Moving on from that, the last thing on here on the list is kind of an important one. And this is one that me and my wife thought was kind of funny because once we had put in the offer, it was accepted. My wife immediately was like, all right, I want to go buy curtains, and I want to go buy a new stove, and I want to go buy this, and I want to go buy that. And she was racking up the ideas of all the stuff she wanted to buy for the new home. And we hadn't fully closed on it yet. And luckily, both our realtor and our financial institution, our banker we're working with, both said, don't buy anything.
Don't
spend
finance.
money.
And unless you have the
Yeah.
cash, yeah.
Right. And that was a big thing. They're like, unless it's something crazy like your car breaks down and you have to get a new car,
Right.
don't mess with any of that.
And then call your lender first because your realtor might lend you a car in the meantime just to.
Whatever you got to do.
I guess I don't know if you've experienced this, Christine. Knock on wood, I have not. But you hear the stories where somebody will go buy a car and that threshold has changed their
Their debt to
financial
income.
status enough to where they no longer are will get approved for financing to purchase this home. Or the one I hear more than the car is furniture.
Yeah, people go out and open
Yeah.
a new,
New line of credit on
say to go to the
furniture, yeah.
Steinhaffel's credit card, or
Right.
I'll be honest, I don't know if Slumberland offers a credit card.
I know they offer financing. I don't know about credit card, but
But
yeah.
go and incur, go see Stacy and buy
Yep.
a whole house full of furniture, which is great. But wait until after you've signed the closing
Mm-hmm.
documents.
And Stacy would be more than happy to sell you a
Yes,
bunch of
she
furniture for
would.
your home. Girl next door, big box store. We love her.
We love her.
And I mean, that is one of those things where it would be a real, kick to the backside to have all your ducks in a row, everything right there. You're at the finish line.
Literally at the finish line.
And
And they
then-
do that final check
Yep.
right before
I'll say
closing.
a day or two before closing, just to they re-verify income and debt and all that good stuff. And that
So
could be
many
the-
broken hearts.
Right. And I mean, and again, this is all part of that process. You guys, when you sit down and have that buyer's consultation with people, you're talking about these steps, and giving them that information rather than, well, hey, we're now in the final step. By the way, don't do. It's hey, when we get to this point, here's some things you need to know.
Right, because there's the potential that somebody might just not know any better.
Right.
And
And
this is
likely
my
do
first
not
this
know
is my-
better, yeah.
This is my first home purchase. And I guess they shouldn't be expected to know how this all works.
Right.
That's kind of what our job is,
And
And when
even with the pre-approval, if you make some major changes, that pre-approval may kind of not be valid anymore. 'Cause it's a
Absolutely.
pre-approval.
Right.
It's not a full approval.
Absolutely. Yep.
Or if someone is moving either here or elsewhere due to a job change, to make sure to have a conversation with that lender, because most of the time, I'm not a lender, but it's 2 pay stubs
Right.
to confirm your wages and a new position. So to plan date-wise accordingly to make sure you have that to be able to actually have your mortgage financed. Yes.
There you go.
And we go through so much at the buyer consultation, but one thing I always try to relay is you don't need to remember any of this. We just want to touch on this once before we get started. So when we revisit again, you may pull up a little information from this
we love
time.
to answer questions.
And
That is what we're here for. Yeah.
And that's exactly why you got your local real estate advisors with Klodowski Real Estate. You guys are going to be there walking that path with them, helping them, whether it's buying, selling, both sides of the equation. You guys are there to take them down that path and remind them of what they need to know along the way.
Yep, trusted real estate advisor. Yep.
Advice, yeah. Even if you're not buying or selling, we're happy to answer questions. Could give it,
Provided we can, they're not legal.
right. Not legal
Right.
or tax questions. Yeah.
Right. And if they don't know, they probably know somebody who does.
Correct.
Remind everybody again how they find you guys, the phone number to call. Who's got the phone this week?
Abby.
I think Abby.
Yeah.
Phone number to call is 920-219-9212. We are located at N8053 on 33, on the intersection of B and 33. Can't miss it. Big old Klodowski Real Estate lighted sign on the front of the building.
Yep.
so-
I've driven past it a couple of times out there. I know where it's at.
And we have our website, klodowskirealestate.com, KLODOWSKI, or our Facebook page.
There you go.
And you
Easy
can
enough.
we're active on Facebook. You can message us on Facebook if that's easier.
Right.
We all have all of our cell phones are on the website or Facebook. Texting's totally fine too.
And I'm going to throw out one last thing I remember, which is if you do go to the website, you do have to register if you want to
You
start
do have
looking.
to register after you look at the
Unfortunately,
They
first
will
property.
not spam you.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It sends an automated first,
Right.
like, hiya, how are you email. We won't do anything else unless you contact us for something. We pay to link to the statewide multiple listing service, so as quickly as that updates, we update. Feel free to home shop away, even if it's just to look at pictures of inside of houses.
There you go. Well, Adam, Chris, thanks for being on today.
Thanks, Dan Jeff.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us.
This has been a paid program. The advice and opinions expressed on the program are solely that of Klodowski Real Estate, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.